Owlbear, and because Icewind Dale came out, we're going to be painting this one a snowy Owlbear and not the purple one. Because I currently already have a brown one that I painted to look like an actual owlbear, and yeah. So today we're going to be doing the snowy one. Oh, and I probably should have told you it's Chaz from Blood Oyster Cult, but that's no big deal. No one ever said I was a professional. Okay. So basically, I love about the WizKids Owlbear miniatures. They come pre-primed, so straight out of the package, you can go ahead and start painting these. Not really bad mold lines. A little bit of, if you're a purist, you can probably go in there and get some of these mold lines. You'll see right there. You might see like right here on his butt, right there. Then you have some small separations from like the legs where they glue it together, but that's no big deal. If it was just competition, you might use some putty to put in there and actually dry it up. And I do believe Citadel makes one that's green stuff or whatever, but I'm not doing competition. This is going to be tabletop ready. So we're going to take his base, put the base right there, so I don't need it now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be using just the Vallejo colors. So we got Vallejo white. Because of the whole COVID thing, they've been having a hard time kind of getting in certain colors, or they get them in the game shops, and everyone around the area has been stuck at home, rushes them and just buys them all up. So I had to go to actual Hobby Lobby to get this, but it's exactly like it's a Vallejo brand. It's gonna be exactly like their game color stuff. So we're gonna use white. White's gonna cover his whole body. Then we're going to go ahead and then dry brush the white with black, because snowy owls have black feathers. A lot of people know this, but the fur on like a polar bear, most polar animals, the underlining fur is actually black. So today we're going to try it out, see how it works. Some people I've seen paint it black and then cover the whole thing white. I think it's very counterintuitive. So I'm going to cover it with white and I'm going to dry brush it with black. Then for the inside of his mouth, we're going to use Vallejo's tan. I paint the tops of my stoppers so I can kind of see what the color is going to look like. So that's what the inside of the mouth is going to be. Then we're going to color the eyes pale yellow. I didn't paint the top yet, but today I will. We're going to paint the eyes pale yellow. First, we're going to paint it black, just to make sure we get the entire eye covered, and there's a seamless transition between yellow and black. So you see that there's a little lip right here. Let's see, can we get that to focus? Focus. There we go. Okay. So you see there's a little lip right there where the eye sits in. Come up with insert whatever medical term you want right there, but that's where the eyeball is actually sitting in this little socket. So I'll paint the whole thing black, and then maybe a little edge for black, because snowy owls have black around their eyes. And then we'll also paint his claws and his beak black. Then to add depth and kind of a sharpness to the claws and the beak, we're going to actually use cold gray to draw a line down his beak in each claw, and that's going to give us the effect that these are sharp. And then what we'll do is we'll then paint the base black, and then we'll dry brush it white. That way it looks like snow, or actually we'll do cold gray on the base, and then I'll dry brush it white so it looks like a frozen snowy tundra. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, we're going to get the white, shake it up. Let me make sure it stays focused. That's better. Okay. The camera just a little bit better. There we go. Alright, so shake it up. Then, because we're going to be base coating the model, we are going to be using a larger brush. Now, this is a good dry brush, good big model paint. because we're going to be able to get the whole body. And we want to just get some water in the palate. The reason why is we want to just kind of wet it down because it's going to have a lot of coverage. Because we want to be able to get into the cracks and recesses. Like so. And we're just going to get some more. We're going to lather this down. We want this to have a good base coat. Just get the whole thing. Get the claws. You want to get everything. Because if you skip areas, like if you only base coat portions of it, you'll actually won't have the seamless transitions that you want. So you want to get it all. Some people do this with primers, and that's fine too. Primers are just a little more watered down and have a binding agent, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, put in the comments. Tell me I'm dumb. Wouldn't be the first, and it would definitely be the last. So we're just gonna make them white. Now, I think that the cool thing about the Owlbear is that they make a pre-painted snowy Owlbear, which is okay. I'm not a big fan of it. Doesn't look like it has a lot of depth to it, but that's what got me into painting. Was I think that we could be doing a lot more. Oh, you can see a little flex on my brush from me getting it everywhere. But that's okay. I like the fact that they made the pre-paint, the unpainted Owlbear, so I can make it whichever one I want. Add a little more white in the palette. A little goes a long way, but we're doing one solid coat. Just get a little water in there. And you see how it pulls up like that? Just bring it down. Now, when I first started doing this, I used to think it's going to dry like that, like it's going to be a big giant glob, and it doesn't. It actually dries and form fits. The only problem is if you put too much water on your brush, then what happens, it just takes longer to dry. So I really like Vallejo paints. I think they're doing great work. Gotta get his undercarriage, get all his feathers. Now see, I got these friends one of who always tends to look for little imperfections. He says he's helping me get better. I just think it's his excuse to be a jerk to me. But that's okay. We gotta love our friends for who they are. Okay, and again, you just want to get every nook and cranny. I know it seems silly to paint the mouth white, but I'm really going for that seamless transition because you're thinking this creature is hunting in frozen areas, right? And if it has a bunch of color that sticks out in the snow, then it's going to be giving away its location. And for party members, I like to think that the Owlbear is like a normal owl and not so much like a bear in the sense of that a normal owl will be patient and wait. I don't know if bears are patient, but I just imagine he sits around with giving out scholarly advice before he eats you. I'm just going to help the pooling. Clean off the brush. Dry it off. Okay. Let's help that pooling. So we got good coverage, but this way it dries faster. Get that moisture out of there. Okay, so see how the face has still got a lot of depth to it. So a lot of the details. Let that sit for a second while I set up for the next. Okay. Just get that brush nice and clean. Alright. So that's going to dry. Should take a couple minutes. Now the claws dry pretty fast. So we're just going to go ahead and get our black paint ready. We're gonna do his claws. So the paint's dry enough. And see, since we painted the claws white, we have a little bit of wet paint on, which is fine. There's a seamless transition between the claw and the feathers, which is exactly what we want. Now, in some birds, when the beak, there's a piece of skin that's going to hold the beak, and it's visible. Now, in this situation, the snowy owl has that, but it's covered by feathers. So that's going to be an easy model to paint because we don't have to do that. If we were going to do that, the same thing applies. We'd want to paint the whole thing the color we want, like tan, and then paint it black. So like when you're doing mouths of creatures, you don't want to paint the mouth, you don't want to paint the teeth first. You actually want to paint the entire mouth first. And that way, when you do paint the teeth, you're painting over the color of the skin in the mouth. You're actually making a transition. Now I'm going to be doing the bottom feet, right there. I'm going to go in here and here. The only problem is I won't be able to show you because, well, I could probably try. Let's see. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. So this model is pretty cool and pretty easy to paint since we're deciding to do. Now if you get on the base, it's not a big deal because the base is going to get covered up by the gray. I don't need the black to really run. I need the black to kind of go on smoother so I won't dilute it that much. So whenever you have an issue like this where you get paint on a part that doesn't need paint, what you do is you just get a brush that you haven't used yet and you just wipe it right off. See? And that's it. That brush is now in the use pile, so I'll have to clean that when we're done. A little black paint on. Okay. You see, the model's pretty dry. I got a lot of paint on my thumbs, but it's okay. You can't trust a painter who's clean all the time. So, the inside of the mouth isn't clean. So it isn't dry yet, sorry, that's what I meant to say. So, let me pull up my picture. Okay. Okay, so the beak is going to be completely covered in feathers, so it's just going to be 2 little black strips from me coming out. So what I'll do is I'll paint the khaki when the paint dries. But first, well, that paint's not drying. Making my trusty fan over here. Clean off our brush where I get the fan. But because the model is so be good if I attach my microphone. Because the model is so big, we're going to actually put it drying. We're going to use a little fan, help dry it. What that'll do is it'll help just dry it up. And then you can take your used brush, you can kind of get in the mouth, for example. Kind of take some of that moisture out of there. Around the eye. As you see, we have one eye pretty clean. We're going to paint this eye black. The eye dries. It's a little got into the... Try, we can touch it up with... We can touch it up with some more white paint. See, that eye's just a little dry, a little wet still. All right, so you see how the eyes are black? What that's going to do is when we paint over it, we get more seamless transition. And whatever we screw up on, we can come back and we can just get some white paint out and fix up all of our mistakes. As I'm looking at this, I should have done the mouth khaki first, but that's okay. You can even paint over black. Which I remember when I first started painting, which was about a little over a year ago. I remember thinking, well, dude, if you put it in black, how do you... I'm not going to do that one. The reason why is I want to paint the mouth, the inside of the mouth, khaki first. Oops. So a little black on my brush. See my little mistake right there. Highlights his teeth. But we're just going to go ahead and... Can I get this little bit off? Right there. Yeah, I'm just going to make it worse. That's alright. So you see we have a little bit of a mistake right here. See how the eye's not... This eye's not perfect. You have a little knot symmetry. It's not making a circle. That's okay. We can come in with white. We'll fix that. And we'll fix this little black right there. See, he's got a little bag right there because he's, staying up all night working 2 jobs. Things like that. And see, the best part is we're not going to be really focusing on a lot of details because, again, the owl is supposed to be stuck out in the tundra and frozen wasteland. Well, again, if you have a bunch of colors sticking out of the snow, you're going to be seeing, you're not going to be able to eat. And he, even though he is very muscular with a small waist, he's definitely seen his fair share of meals. So give the white a little more time. We're going to go to tan. And tan's going to be the inside of his mouth. That's what it's going to look like. Again, that's a pretty cool trick I learned from some people online. Thought that was pretty neat. Fan's off. I can put my palette back over here. I'm just going to put a little tan down there. Okay. And we're just going to get the inside of his mouth. Now remember, he's got little teeth. Hey, focus that real fast. You see he's got little teeth right here? There it is. Okay, so he's got little teeth. But I don't think those teeth are going to be different color. I think they're going to be black. So we're just going to, again, make it black. Okay, inside the mouth is pretty good. I like it. Get rid of the tan and go back to our black palette. Now I bought these palettes from like Hobby Lobby. I got like a big package of them for $5. And I like the people online who use the wet palettes. I'll be looking at getting a wet palette. That way the paints last longer on the palette. Because this palette's great, but I think the wet palette's a lot better. So we'll get that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. Now, the white paint is pretty dry, but not in our palette. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to just kind of touch up the white right here around the eye. Okay. And a little black paint got on the inside ridge up here. That's okay. Bob Drunkle, Phase Rant. We are good to go. We're back to circles now. Well, a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to, oops, I forgot my dry brush. Look at my dry brush real fast. All right. Sorry about that. So, for those who don't know what dry brushing is, you first want to make sure your mini is going to be all nice and dry. Because if you start mixing wet paints together, they're going to pool up and kind of make this kind of amoebus looking situation. Here you just want to kind of look around, see if there's any big puddles that are still there. If so, turn the fan on. So I see a couple of the undercarriages not ready yet. So just kind of put them at an angle and we'll turn the fan on. And that should give me a little, and just to kind of help with time, we'll talk about kind of what the project looks like. So this is the owlbear I created a while ago. So I like the dry brushing. What that's going to do, those who don't know what dry brushing is, we're going to take a big brush like this. We're just going to keep it dry. And what we're going to do is when you have a base coat, so the base coat was brown, I took a lighter color, lighter brown, and I dipped it in the paint and I just brushed it off here and got most of it up. So basically the paint will go in the middle. Now, dry brushes are different than other brushes because the ferrule is different. This is what the ferrule looks like on this. This metal piece right here is called the ferrule. Most painters try to keep paint away from the tip of the ferrule. It seeps in. Now, eventually it's going to seep in unless you're just crazy good at cleaning your brushes, which I'm not. But what happens is when it goes in there, instead of it flapping like this, it's going to just kind of, it's going to start spreading out, or it's going to just kind of pop like that, not flowing. Okay? So dry brushes, you can buy ones that are actually labeled dry. This is the Citadel dry brush. You can also find cheap brushes that you don't care about anymore, that are dying on you. So all you do is you put the paint in there, you take it off, most of it, and you'll basically be left up in the middle part. So as the brush goes over the ridges, the whole thing won't get painted because the paint's higher up, but you'll be left with these just little flecks on the top ridges part, which really makes the feathers like this right here pop out. Now some people will go through and individually look at every single feather and put a highlight line on there. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So this is what my owlbear looks like. I painted him. You can see the lines on the claws make the claws look sharper, like a reflection. And then because it is an owl, I try to keep all the owl features. So make sure to paint, what a woodland owl would look like, things like that. Most of the time you use flesh washes. You use different washes to add depth and stuff like that. But again, this is a snowy tundra owl. They don't have any features because they want to blend into the white snow. Even their feet are going to be completely white. And the under part of their foot, if I'm not mistaken, is, I'm looking for a picture right now. Let's do snowy owl talons. Oops, keep hitting the camera. All right, sorry about that. So, owl's pretty dry now. So we're going to go ahead and start this dry brushing technique. And dry brushing, again, is going to be, since the owls are going to have flecks of black kind of all through, like right here. My plan of attack is going to be, I'm going to dry brush here. I'm pretty much going to dry brush the whole model, belly and all. So, cross our fingers, this works. So, the black will start coming off. Now you see, here it just smears, but here you see the ridges, you can see the white in the middle. That's the part you want your dry brush to look when it starts doing that. Otherwise, you're going to get big smears, you're going to be painting in black. So, it looks like up here at the head, they're going to have black. Then, now they don't have horns, I know that, and this one does have horns, but that's okay. And see, all of a sudden, there shined a shiny demon in the middle of the road. And he said, sorry, every time I say all of a sudden, that's what goes in my mind. Tribute by Tenacious D. Now, his feet and hands are going to be free of the black part, because look at the picture of the snowy owl, all of them, their legs are going to be solid white. So that's what we want to do. And their face is going to be solid white. So you want it, again, even though it's a D&D, there are no wrong answers. You know, you can make it however you want. Whoops. I'm a purist, and I like to see things look more like they would normally. So a little more black paint. Get to that. See, first is you get your glob, and you start getting into dry brushing, and just slightly brush over it. Okay. What that's going to do, it's going to make those feathers pop. Okay. Then now you want to go against the grain, so you get the raised up parts, and then get his belly. Remember, we're going to try to stay away from his legs, just because the snowy owls online don't show it. And use the natural ridges. Make sure you use the natural ridges. Okay. Now see how the black just did the tops and didn't color the bottom. That's where you get your lines of delineation. It's going to make everything pop out. Now again, we're doing a snow owl, and a snow owl is going to be your basic, just a couple of colors, but it's a good one for everyone to do. Now, we're going to go ahead and clean off our dry brush, because we're done dry brushing. Clean that off. And you see paint, there's going to be a lot of paint there, so just really make sure you get a good soak down till you kind of see it's kind of clean, stuff like that. Let's see. Then we're now going to go to pale yellow. Now, this is going to be the fun part. This is the eyeballs. Now, because we went ahead and colored all the eyes black all the way around, this brush is a little too big. Let's get a smaller one. Here's a smaller one. All right. Focus. All right. So we want to make sure we get that ridge right in there by the eye, between the eye and the feather. But because we painted it all black, that's going to really make the transition kind of seamless. Okay, so we'll just focus. There we go. And we're going to get ourselves some yellow. And we're going to just paint the top part. You want to start in the center and kind of work your way out in a circle. But again, we want to leave kind of a black ring. And it's going to look like that. So that eye and that eye. Okay. Now, if you were making a zombie, maybe you can add some blood right there and some necro flesh and stuff like that. But we're not making a zombie owlbear. True story, funny story. I actually was playing with a character who was killed and then resurrected as reincarnation of him as an owlbear. Then was bitten by a vampire. It became a vampiric owlbear. True story. So, we're going to let that dry for a minute. Then we're going to put a black dot right in the middle. And that will be the irises. And while we're waiting for that to dry, let's go ahead and start work on the claws. So, we're going to go to our cold gray. I'm just going to put that in the palette. And what we're going to do is a technique that I'm not the best at, but I'm learning. Oh, hell, I'm learning on everything. But basically what you want to do is you want to make sure you get one with a good point. And you're going to dip it in your paint. And you're just going to make sure you just go along the sides. You're actually not going to go in like this. On the side, and what that does is it's going to give you that little line. See how it makes it sharp looking? Now, I don't want to do it in the bottom of the beak because the bottom of the beak's probably not going to help it. But what we're going to do is to every one of the claws. Just a thin little line down each claw. The hard part is getting your hands. And what that does is it just kind of adds that sharpness to them. Okay? Now, I'm not looking to win a competition with this guy. I wouldn't even tell you what the competition looks like for this one. But he's definitely going to be tabletop ready. So, we had the depth of the claws and the beak. See how the beak looks sharper now? And the eyes look just dry enough. So let's get some black. Now, good rule of thumb is you want to brace yourself when you do eyeballs. All right, and you want to. I found the best way is to use your brush to indicate where they're looking. And there you go. Okay. And then we're going to, now we're going to just get a bigger brush out. And we're going to get just a little more cold gray. And you want to do is you want to just kind of, go ahead and do the base. You just want to just get the base. You know what? We're going to use a bigger brush because I got a lot of space. We use our dry brush. And we just want to get the gray on there. And you don't have to be perfect around the claws because we're going to be dry brushing it white to indicate like a snowy ground. Let's see, we just want to get a nice grayness around it. That's going to simply kind of rock the frozen tundra, things like that. I'd rather you have a great mini with a decent base than have a great base and a crappy mini. So you don't have to worry about it being perfect. And we're just going to wipe that off. We're going to move our palette out of the way. Turn our fan on so we can get the base nice and dry. And we're just going to, looks like we got a big glob of Rogue paint. It happens. That's okay. We're just going to come in here and we're going to fix that. Okay. We're just, like I said, we're just gonna kind of overlook the model, give the base time to dry. We're gonna go ahead and just see, whoops, let's clean our brush. Let's just get some black. Thought I saw a part of black I didn't do so well. There we go. And we underneath and did the underneath part. Okay. Pretty easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. The base is pretty dry. Good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to dry brush some white. Don't need a lot. Remember, little goes a long way. We're just going to dry brush the ground. And see, it's wet, but that's okay because it actually works out. Okay. And I think we are good. Now, some people like to use effects and stuff like that on the miniature, and that's fine. You can put, like, if you want to glue some stuff right here, you can glue some, like a little dead rodent or something like that, a figurine like that. Let's say you have like a dead person right here, a corpse, whatever, and you could take blood. And what I recommend for this one would be is to kind of dry brush like you learn to do. And dry brush kind of the paws right here, the paw / claw, and just right here again. I would use glistening blood right now is a good effect. Either Vallejo or Army Painter or Citadel, doesn't really matter. And just I would kind of dry brush it here and around the face because the blood's going to be everywhere. And then just what you want to do is you want to take your brush and you want to put some glistening blood on there and just kind of flick it like this, like just, brum, brum. And what that'll do is little specks will fly everywhere, like we've done on our white brush right here. and that will be blood on his face and stuff. So I'm going to glue this bad boy down. You know what? I have a paint effect. Hold on. I got snow. Let's let that dry. Let me turn my fan on. Let that dry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Citadel effect that's snow, and we're just going to go ahead and get a brush we don't care about. This brush has seen better days. And we're just going to get some of this globby snow out. It comes out looking like that, and we're just going to kind of and see, we'll have texture down on it. You want to use a brush that you don't really care about. Don't throw brushes away. I tell everybody just kind of keep them around, because when you start getting into effects like when you use resin or this, you don't want to take one of your really nice like $8 brushes or something like that. You don't want to just, ruin it by, not all the snow came off and something like that. Because this is basically putty, or this is basically just crap with glue all over it, and it's going to stick, and whatever brush that's going to stick on is going to be, from that point on, your snow brush. I'm off my own little world. See? Got some snow effects. Alright. We're going to close that up, because this thing you don't want to dry out. So we'll just clean that off. I'll just go rinse that cup out. And we'll just glue his base on real fast. Since we're here, okay. Press down for 10 seconds. Close enough. Okay. And that is your snowy owlbear, ready to pounce and kill the hunters of the north. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please put them in your comments below. And if you guys want to see me paint something else, which I doubt you will, because the only people probably watch this are my mom and dad, just go ahead and put in the comments down any kind of figure you want to paint. I think one of the next things I'll paint will be the wyvern. And yeah, unless someone says otherwise. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.